All right, y'all, we are back with another video. And before we start, please put prayers for Donald Trump in the comment section. We must protect President Trump at all times. And it brings me to this video right here by Liberal High Mind is that Jessica Tarlov, she just start going into like panic mode. She's screaming on Fox News. Then Jesse Waters, he screamed back at her. Greg Gutfeld screamed back at her because she said some of the dumbest stuff that you can say. She is literally trying to take off for Kamala Harris and Tampon Tim Walz. That's who she's trying to take her for. Two people that don't know nothing about running this country. You're talking about Tim Walz, a man who lied about his military background. About, you know what I'm saying, like he trying to use him being in the military to try to win when he ain't telling people how he dropped out. He didn't want to go to Iraq or Afghanistan. He literally bagged out when it was time to go. He dropped out. He let the city of Minneapolis burn down, let rioters burn the city down. And this is who Kamala Harris chose as her vice president. And you got Jessica Tarlov. She got so mad they had to cut feed. She literally just stormed off set. She's just stormed off set. They just had to cut feed. Got into a shouting match over her trying to take up for Kamala Harris and Tampon Walz. So like I said, make sure y'all please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. Without further ado, let's dive straight into this so y'all can see exactly what I'm talking about. Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. Alright, so all the leftoids in the mainstream media already had a daunting task, a tough task of defending Kamala Harris. I mean, that pretty much speaks for itself now, doesn't it? Just imagine, if you will, having to defend Kamala Harris's track record. Need I say more? No, not really. Well, that, of course, was a daunting task to begin with. Some may even call it a Herculean task, an impossible task. Well, that impossible task just got even more impossible, if that's even possible, because now the mainstream media has to work overtime, not just defending Kamala Harris, but also now defending Tim Walz. Essentially, for the next 3 months, leftists in the media are now stuck defending the indefensible, and let's just say it's not exactly going so well for them. I'm just gonna say a couple words. Absolute, utter humiliation. Tim Walz is looking to be the nightmare that they pretended JD Vance was. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so I guess this is a quintessential part of American politics now. Thanks to Donald Trump back in 2016, giving people nicknames is all the rage. And little running mate Timmy Boy here, well, he's got a nickname that, unfortunately for him, is sticking like freaking glue.
Yep.
Everybody's referring to Tim Walz as Tampon Tim. And this
Tampon
nickname in
Tim.
particular is bad, because whenever that name is mentioned and a leftoid is offended, they proceed to then lose the argument in their attempt to defend the indefensible. Let me show you what I mean by that.
I think was one of the more potent points, or I know will be one of the major plot lines in all of this.
Tampon Tim?
Tampon Tim. Yes, I would like to talk about it.
Good.
You know what? If you knew anything about the pink tax or how difficult it is for women when they have their period and they don't have access to tampons.
It's not
and
about
pads.
women.
It
They
is
can get
about
as
it.
many tampons as they
Wait,
want.
that's not
Give
what
them
I hear
free
this.
tampons. It's the
Jesse,
boys.
I want to hear this.
The point of having menstrual products available in a boys' bathroom is for 4th to 12th graders, I think, that if there is someone who identifies, if there is a biological female who identifies as a male and uses that, your laughing will be the undoing of your side.
You're letting your you're encouraging empathy, which we all admire,
No, you
go
don't.
into an irrational world.
You don't admire it. I need to say something
No
about
one
the National
is
Guard.
using the boys' bathroom that's menstruating, Jessica.
You can't defend
Oh my
Tampon
God.
Tim. You can't get your panties in a knot and clutch your pearls when Republicans say Tampon Tim or refer to him as such, because it then sparks the argument. And that right there is where leftoids lose big. Yep, Harris Walz 2024. Free tampons in male bathrooms. It's so 2024.
That's crazy.
Automatically, it's freaking game over. That's who Tim Walz is. He's now been branded as Tampon Tim, the extremely woke Democrat guy. And that right there is a bad place to be in. And Democrats who are trying to defend him, well, frankly, they're getting steamrolled everywhere I look. It's not just Tampon Tarlov on Fox News. It's everyone. It feels like collectively the Democrat machine is just taking an L on the Tim Walz issue. You know, initially, Nancy Nancy Pelosi came out and said, well, no, he's not left-wing. It's ridiculous to categorize Tim Walz as left-wing. Well, obviously that didn't work. Immediately, the left themselves started to identify him as left-wing, and now he's being identified as male tampons left-wing. You know, that's pretty far left. Tim Walz has an issue here, or probably more accurately, Tim Walz is the frickin' issue. It's not just the drunk driving scandal, it's also this now developing stolen valor controversy. Now, initially, the White House didn't want to address the issue.
If I may, the campaign trail. Today, Senator J.D. Vance has accused Governor Walz of stolen valor. I mean, obviously, military service is something that's very deeply personal to the president, given the service of his son. I'm curious, I mean, how is he reacting to these statements?
So look, any specific attacks or comments, I would have to refer you to the campaign. I think when I was answering your colleague Joey's question about Governor Walz, I laid out, and you all have seen his bio, right? This is someone who enlisted at 17 years old to serve his country. He was part of the Army National Guard for 24 years. This is someone who was a high school teacher, right? A high school coach as well, who grew up in a small town in the Midwest. And so I think his bio speaks for itself. Who he is speaks for himself. His record speaks for itself. And I'm just not going to say anything beyond that.
And of course, the media went into full-on defense mode.
Man, that right there is just crazy. Karine, like that, like she ain't even answering the question. She's going around the question. He said, "What about the stolen valor? About him saying he deployed when he didn't." That right there, she ain't getting no answer for that. Oh, he was a school teacher. Oh, he was this. He was that. We ain't talking about that. We talking about him lying. How he dropped out when it was time to go to Afghanistan and Iraq, and he dropped out. That right there is what we are talking about. She want to go by him being a teacher. If that's the case, when he was a teacher, won't you talk about that DUI he had, what he was doing with a 90 and a 55? Why you ain't talking about that, Karine? Why you ain't talking about that? See, that's what they do. They dance around the question, and then she want to say, oh, well, the attacks. How is that an attack? That's not an attack. See, that's what they always use, this attack word, but they say all this stuff about Donald Trump. So now you are attacking Tampon Tim because he dropped out when it was time to go to Iraq and Afghanistan. He literally just left them high and dry and had to be replaced by somebody else, and she's calling that an attack on him. That's not an attack. He let down the squad. They was getting ready to go, and he left. And talking about he's a retired. He's not a retired. You dropped out. How is you retired? See, and this is exactly what they do. They use these words. Oh, J.D. Vance, he's attacking him. But soon as Tampon Tim says something about J.D. Vance, that ain't no attack though. This is what they do. This is what they do.
Tim didn't actually lie. They kept hitting us with the most ridiculous alibis and fake news fact checks. But now, after all the effort, I guess all the effort was in vain, the Harris campaign now admits that Tim Walz misspoke about his past military career. Womp, womp, womp. Well, would you look at that? What was it?
Exactly. Now, look at that right there. Harris campaign admits Walz misspoke. See, that's the thing right there. Tampon Tim thought wasn't nobody gonna go in his past and figure that out. What he tried to do, he didn't misspoke. He lied to the people. He lied to the people because he want the votes. The same thing this woman right here, Kamala Harris, what we call her now, Scamala Harris, is doing. Playing like she's black. Soon as you get in front of a black crowd, she want to talk black, say things black people say. This is exactly what they both are liars. Now they finally want to come out after all this time that everybody been going off on him. Now they saying that he misspoke. He didn't misspoke. The man knew his military career. He knew he didn't go to Afghanistan and Iraq. He knew he dropped out. So how can you forget that? He didn't forget that. He tried to lie to the people and didn't think nobody was going to go look it up. That's exactly what he thought, and he got caught. Now they want to say something about it. Won't he say that at y'all next rally that, hey, y'all, I misspoke about my past military career? He ain't going to do that because he tried to lie about it, and he got caught.
days straight of them telling us, no, Republicans are liars, conspiracy theorists, this is fake news, 24 years of service. They kept going on and on, trying to flip the script, and now I guess it turns out that we were right, as the Harris campaign now frickin' admits it. But no, of course, Tim Walz didn't lie. No, he just misspoke. Just like Joe Biden misspoke when he completely misrepresented his entire life, all of his experiences, his college transcript. Yeah, I guess these Democrats just misspeak when they overtly lie about their experiences and career achievements. What an absolute farce, but once again, we were right, and the left is in complete disarray. The stolen valor thing, let's just say, hasn't exactly aged well for them, and it's becoming a little bit of an embarrassing affair. Here's a leftist hack on CNN, interacting with Tim Walz's superior officer at the time of his retirement.
So there's that window of opportunity there. People say we never knew he was going forward. Yeah, he knew he was going forward. Had he gotten his orders yet? No, at that time he had not. As far as being a command sergeant major, he, as soon as he retired, or I'm going to go with the term retired, which he did, and he was eligible after 20 years to get a full retirement. He was taken out of the academy at that time. Here's another thing about.
Well, Sergeant Major, I do want to hear that. I do want to hear what you have to say, Sergeant Major. I know I want to be sensitive of your time, and your audio is beginning to break up just a little.
There ain't nothing wrong with that man audio. You see what she tried to do? Ain't nothing wrong with that man audio. She didn't want him to keep going on about Walz. You see that crap? Just sitting up here lying. We can hear the man audio is good to Chris. Now, his camera might not be clear, but we can hear exactly what he's saying. And she's sitting up here lying, talking about audio problems because she don't want him to just keep revealing more stuff about Tim Walz. These people are liars, but they are something else at CNN. This is just crazy. She's sitting up here blatantly lying about the audio when we can hear him clearly talking about Tim Walz. And look what she's doing.
Little bit, but I do want to thank you because I think you've clarified a lot for people and given more information. The question now is how the voters will evaluate it. Sergeant Major Doug Julian, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
I should note our show has reached out to the Harris-Walz campaign for comment and have not heard back.
You ain't gonna hear back.
You can tell that she wanted to get out of there and get out of there fast the moment things got a little bit spicy.
Yep.
Well, it sounds like we're having some issue with your audio. I don't know what that is. What is she talking about? His audio was perfectly fine. I guess we're gonna have to just abruptly end the interview. See you later. Completely and utterly exposed. I don't know if this media machine's going to be able to keep up, and really that presents another issue here. The issue of bias and just the general phoniness. You know, when you have to exert extra effort, when you have to try too hard, it usually becomes obvious to the other side that you're up to no good or up to something. So in other words, I think the media might overplay its hand. You know, the people might start waking up to really just how dishonest the mainstream media is. Let's just say with this whole Tim Walz situation, especially in contrast with how they treated J.D. Vance, well, it's just so obviously corrupt.
Midwestern dad, like super clean-cut vibe.
Everybody likes
right?
Tim Walz.
So plain-spoken and relatable.
As moderate and independent as it comes.
Pretty moderate Democrat.
I always knew him as a moderate. One of the most moderate.
Very moderate record.
The new moderate.
I think this is the new moderate.
Far from progressive.
It's right down the middle.
And J.D. Vance is weird, extreme, and angry.
Utter humorlessness. The humorlessness and pompousness.
It's hard to believe that J.D. Vance could be any more extreme.
It's like a freak show of bros.
They have J.D. Vance, dark and ugly beneath the dignity of most politicians.
J.V. Vance.
J.D. is at the far extreme.
The most extreme.
Being one of the most extreme.
We need to recognize the danger.
It's another version of rules for thee, but not for me. It's horrible, slanderous, divisive, hit piece rhetoric for our enemies, and nothing but fluff piece journalism for our friends. You know, they're starting to paint a perception here. And like I always say, I think the more people that are exposed to this, the more people see it. You simply can't unsee it. Those people will be changed forever when you take the red pill. There's no going back. You know, maybe I'm an optimist, maybe I'm too much of a hopeful optimist, but I just gotta sit here and hope that people are gonna realize that a con is currently being played, and hopefully this shady AstroTurf campaign backfires and backfires bigly. I guess we'll have to see. Anyways, that's pretty much what...
All right. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Liberal High Mind. Another great video. As you can see, man, this right here is crazy. Look what CNN be doing. Look what Jessica Tarlov doing. She literally getting a screaming match. And like I said, they cut feed because she literally, ran off set, basically. They cut feed on her. It just don't make sense at all how she's sitting up here trying to take up for Tampon Tim and Kamala Harris. This is just sickening to see. I mean, I just cannot believe it at all. But like I said, y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think about this. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.